else have you got lined up?
Well, if we continue over here, the last step I think we'll do is really focusing on the other area that Avigilon has invested a lot of resources, a lot of time, and really diversified our technology, and it's about video analytics. We see video analytics as the future to the industry, in that when you think about what is happening today, security devices, cameras and others, are being deployed in larger numbers than ever before. But the challenge with that is you don't have more human operators to support those cameras.
Exactly right.
So you end up with a lot of devices deployed and no one watching them.
Yeah. And you're only as good as the data you watch.
Yeah, and you're only as good as your ability to actually affect what's occurring. Now, if you're not watching them, you don't know what's occurring, and again, you're in the same problem where you have this very good quality information, but the damage has already been done in some cases.
Okay.
So what video analytics does is it really changes how people interact with their surveillance system. Now what you're doing is you're using artificial intelligence, deep learning, and these advanced technologies to become that 24/7, 365 watcher. So they are able to watch all cameras all the time and determine events that you might be interested in.
So how would that work? So do you put in parameters that you're particularly interested in? So for example, if something happened, times or dates or colors, or how does the analytics side work?
So there's a stage of our analytics that does work like that, where you can go in and define exactly what it is you want to know and have the system tell you when those events occur. Now ours are a little bit different, and we use self-learning analytics, and the reason why that's valuable is there's a barrier to entry when you think about analytics, and that is actually in the deployment. You need a very advanced technician who's willing to spend the time and effort to configure all these things to make it successful. Ours removes that barrier to entry because it's self-learning. So you deploy it, it starts to learn, and you simply tell it what you want to know, and it gets smarter as it learns your environment.
So give us an example of what sort of thing people might want to know.
So they'll want to know, let's say I'm operating a business, and my business has people coming and going, but there are certain hours where people aren't supposed to be in specific locations. I can now use analytics to say, we don't care if a leaf blows or if a product falls off a shelf, but I do want to know if a specific individual is in this area during these hours. And because it understands what a person looks like, it's able to tell you that. Now that's been very successful for us as an organization, but we're only getting started with what we're doing. Because the other challenge you run into is, if I sat down with you today and I said, tell me everything that you're worried about and want to know, you could probably come up with 5 or 10 things that are of interest to you, right? These are things you want to know. But there's 1,000, 10,000 other things that you wouldn't be able to articulate to me, but that you are interested in. But that's where the human brain comes into play. So if you watch video, you would say, I've never seen that before, what is that? But you're not able to articulate that up front. And this is where we get into our more advanced technologies like unusual motion detection.
Right.
So the unusual motion detection, what this does is it starts to learn your environment, and it will actually tell you, as it learns, when something is out of the ordinary.
So just looking at the screen on the left, what are we looking at exactly?
So what you're looking at right now is some samples of the unusual motion detection action. And what it's doing is telling you that I've watched this particular scene or area for a long time, and these are the things that I know happen. Cars drive in this way.
Right.
People walk in this direction. Now when something that it's never seen happens before, it can now notify you. So that you can decide, is this something that I need to take action on? Because it might be a threat, it might not be a threat, but it is something that's never happened before and you should be aware.
So essentially it's sifting information very fast and giving you information that you then need a human operator then to make a decision on.
Exactly. So when you have 1,000 cameras and you have one human operator, where they're only able to watch 5, 10, 20 cameras, this watches all 1,000. And what it will do now is tell the operator when they need to pay attention to a specific camera in a remote location. Picture applications where, let's say there's a giant open area, and people will typically walk through it. Now all of a sudden you have everybody running. Now if that's never happened before, technology like unusual motion detection can send an alarm saying, we're not saying there's a problem, but this definitely requires you to look at. And these are things that you can't define that the system can now take care of for you.
I mean, it's extraordinary. Just with your crystal ball, what is the next year going to hold, the next 5 years? Or is it just moving so fast you can't tell?
Yeah. Really, at Avigilon, what we're focused on is redefining how people interact with security and surveillance solutions. In that it's still very analog or very mechanical today, right? I'm looking for someone, so I pull up a device, and if he's not on that device, I pull up another device, and I go through one by one, or maybe I know where the cameras are, and that's how I try and find what I'm looking for. But when you think about it, they don't really care about the device. What they're looking for is an end result. And an end result is, I want to know where James is. That's what I care about. I don't care if he's on camera 1 or camera 20, I want to know where he is. So things like our appearance search allow you to forget about all of the devices that you're using to do this and focus on the end result, which means now you can react faster and hopefully impact these things and be a lot more successful in protecting people, property, and other things.
James, is absolutely extraordinary. Well, I wish you a great deal of success here at the exhibition. I hope you get many more customers and engage with your current ones, and I'll keep an eye on what goes on in the next 12 months.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for joining us.